Hello, good afternoon. I joined briefly in the morning and it was all in German. So I didn't stick around. I honestly tried, but I didn't do too well. I was just saying to Sylvia, I interpreted my task a little bit differently than what Joanna did. That was extremely informative. Thank you very much, Joanna. I focused more on what the projects, what we have produced, and thinking that this would be for presenting a little bit of what's out there, what we have done. So if you'll give me just a minute, look for this. Sorry. It's extremely hot here and I don't know about the rest of you, but it's just really hard to focus. Hard to think straight right now. Okay. I hope you're not having the same heat wave that we are. So here's what I've been asked. Are you seeing just my screen or are you seeing yourselves too?
No, we are seeing your screen, Melinda. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so I was asked to talk about the IO 3, 2, and 3 local tutorials and podcasts, principally because our partner was the one that was spearheading this. What have we created? You've got some snapshots here. There's a section in the platform, in the local project platform, for tutorials and podcasts regarding the integration of multilingual landscapes in language education. Sorry, that doesn't move over. Okay. And the aims, start with the tutorials. The aims were short videos from classroom practices, how-tos. Okay, so we would try to anticipate what kind of questions teachers might have when trying to implement linguistic landscapes in their classrooms, or even outside the classroom if they wanted. Of course, linguistic landscapes is outside the classroom, but I mean, perhaps an informal teaching as well. We've seen some examples of that. We also wanted to try to bring in student perspective. So these tutorials are based on interviews with teachers and teacher trainers, and they look at linguistic landscape passed through different contexts and analysis as Joanna has just described. We've also tried to include the transcriptions of the videos because sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand everything that's being said, and some are in different languages. We're working on getting in there, getting some more, not only more tutorials, but also more languages. What are some of the key topics you can learn about in our tutorials? Well, first of all, the importance of raising students' language awareness, the diversity around them. I think that we're all if you're here, it's because you're aware of how important this is, but ideally somebody who just happens to come upon this platform would also say, okay, I'm curious, what's this about? And they might want to know why it's important. There's rationale for using linguistic landscapes in your teaching, which can also always be useful for teachers if perhaps they've got an idea that they want to do it, but then they don't quite know how to convince parents or how to convince the school policymakers. There's a layout of why this is important to do this, because you may see it very clearly as a teacher, perhaps, though the immediate target it's very hot here, sorry. The immediate target audience may not see it as clearly. There's ideas about how to help your students become language detectives. That one's in several languages. There's strategies for bringing linguistic landscapes into teaching as language teachers, and even into how to incorporate completely into some more integrated perspective on how to integrate it into the curriculum. Ways to use linguistic landscapes as support in other subjects, for example, sports. There's also some videos, they're part of the tutorials on how to use the local app, which we'll be seeing in just a few minutes. So I thought we might take a quick look if possible. So are you seeing this, or do I need to stop share and share again?
We can see it.
You can or cannot?
We see your PowerPoint.
Okay, let me stop share and go back. It's really annoying when you can't. Okay. All right, you see it now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So if we scroll down, okay, here's the tutorials. These are some of the ones that we're talking about. This one is by Lisa. So I chose that one to look at, if you don't mind, Lisa. Just a quick look.
I think that my one is
Sorry?
below. I think that one is the one from...
Oh, okay, sorry. This is yours. Yes, this is the one I wanted to choose. Thank you. Thank you. Can you see this?
You have a burning question about linguistic methods.
Yes.
And hear it. You see it and hear it.
The sound could be better, but...
Okay, let me try bringing up the volume a bit. Okay.
Landscapes you'd like to see answered. The local project team shares their insights in this tutorial series.
Okay, I'm not going to take you all the way through. I just wanted you to get a taste of it. I love, if you don't mind, Lisa, I love what you've said here. It's just with the first step. It's always about taking that first step. I think that that's absolutely a lovely sentiment. So I'm going to stop share and go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so those are the tutorials, and I hope that you'll go through them and have a look, and that you'll also promote these with other teachers and with other people that you know, or not just me. We all hope that you do that. Then we have the podcasts. The aim of the podcast is to provide spaces for voices of different educational agents. So we have representation from teachers, from students, from teachers in formation and training, if you like, teacher educators. And these are based on their own practices, their own experience regarding the integration of multilingual landscapes in language education. What kind of things are you going to listen to in our podcast? You'll hear from first-time experience. They're not, may not be novice teachers, but there is at least one example of a novice in linguistic landscapes, talking about how it went the first time she used it. She used this approach. There's students' reflections on their own experience with linguistic landscapes, and it's always nice to come back and get these perspectives. And this is a bit of what Joanna was bringing in. It's very validating of the experience, and it's something that perhaps even if it's something that we could include if you want to add your own podcasts. We'll explain to you how to do that. We have student teachers discussing their experiences, so it's not just teachers in practice. Also, some student teachers have used it, and they discuss how they felt about it. This again in various languages. There's one podcast on working with linguistic landscapes. If I'm not I believe it's in Portuguese. I'm speaking from memory right now. About the challenges of using a linguistic landscape during the lockdown caused by the pandemic. And although, knock on wood, this is over and we're not going to go back to situations like that, it's interesting to think about ways that you can use, adapt these to very extreme situations and with the use of technology. Highlights and challenges of using linguistic landscapes in the foreign language classroom or in other disciplines as well, using a linguistic landscape and as part of inclusive education. And there's even a photographer's perspective of using LL with learners and their families, and many more. We've got quite a few podcasts. So if you don't mind, we'll take a quick look again. So stop share, go back. Okay, so you can see here are all the podcasts. You can see there's quite a few different languages. It's all very, very, very exciting. This is the one that I was mentioning here is a paseo fotográfico para paisaje lingüístico con niños y familias. And this is a Uruguayan photographer, and she talks about her experience exploring linguistic landscapes with children and families. So these are things that you can have a look at and work with. Maybe even I think these could be things that you could use as a stepping stone to trigger your own linguistic landscape projects. Okay, let's listen to what these other people said. Let's listen to student interviews, and you could even, some of these podcasts not just can be used not just for training of teachers, but could also be used and integrated into the projects themselves. That's just an idea. They weren't initially designed for that, but I think that we could take advantage of everything we have here. So the overall aims of these two outputs, which were the tutorials and the podcast, is to help teachers and students understand and become aware of language hierarchies, linguistic prestige, which are of course socially constructed attributes and attitudes, raise language awareness of linguistic landscapes and translanguaging in public spaces, and develop multilingual, critical, and plurisemiotic literacies. I think that Joanna has very, very succinctly and very, very brilliantly outlined how all of this can come together through the modules. And concomitantly, we hope that these podcasts and these tutorials will support the development of skills in the languages of the school, which for example, in Barcelona, we have 3 languages in the schools. So it could be the vehicular languages, as well as the development of linguistic repertoires in a variety of languages, even if it's just becoming aware of other languages and perhaps learning 1 or 2 words. This is the beginning of hopefully students' plurilingual repertoires and interest in becoming plurilingual speakers. So any questions or comments? I was much shorter. I was much more general. I apologize if I misinterpreted what my overall task was. So